What law is it that says a woman is a better parent simply by virtue of her sex? It's Kramer versus Kramer, next. Hey, movie buffs, I'm Ryan Tucker. Tonight, we have one that hits a little too close to home for me, so you're not alone if you're bawling at the end. It's Kramer versus Kramer, a 1979 movie rated PG and received a whopping 9 Academy Award nominations, winning 5 of them. It has a runtime of about an hour and 40 minutes, and I'll tell you, director Robert Benton makes each of those minutes count. He only has 11 directing credits, including Bonnie and Clyde, Superman, the 1978 version, Still of the Night, and What's Up, Doc, all quite different from Kramer. After watching again recently, it was refreshing to feel what a consistent pace is like. Benton masterfully puts a year and a half into an hour and a half. At no point did I feel it was rushed or that I was confused on the timeline, which is one of those little things that I tend to get hung up on. For me, it's the nuances and subtleties that make a great director. Benton did one of those things that you don't typically notice while it's happening, where he wanted his cinematographer, Nestor Almendros, to use the look and scheme of the paintings of Piero della Francesca and David Hockney as the look to the film. If you go look those artists up after watching the movie, you will be stunned. Absolutely masterful. The apartment scenes almost look as a theater stage. Now, the role of Joanna Kramer was played by the perfect Meryl Streep, and as always, a powerful performance. This is just one of 3 Streep movies that came out in 1979. The other 2 were The Seduction of Joe Tynan and Manhattan. She would actually go shoot scenes for Manhattan during breaks from Kramer versus Kramer. Not to mention she was pregnant, but clearly it did not affect any of the performances. Hoffman and Streep would frequently butt heads about each other's methods, and though they became furious with each other at times during production, both had said their respect for each other's choices never faded. Streep almost played Hoffman's one-night stand near the middle of the picture until Goldie Hawn, Susan Sarandon, and Jane Fonda all turned down the leading role of Joanna. Streep was on the cusp of exploding into stardom, and Kramer versus Kramer clearly clinched it for her. Some might remember that this is the role for which she won her first Academy Award, the same one that she famously left in the women's bathroom. Now, Hoffman's transition from big shot businessman to attentive father in the role of Ted, for me, is absolutely amazing. You would hardly notice if Benton hadn't given a little nod to the audience every now and then, showing recurring scenes as Hoffman's character progresses into a loving father. Both Streep and Hoffman have proven themselves masters of their craft. Hoffman also walked away with an Oscar for his performance, and I dug up his acceptance speech from the '79 Oscars, in where he gives one of the most gracious and insightful speeches I've heard. I quote, "I refuse to believe that I beat Jack Lemmon. I refuse to believe that I beat Al Pacino, that I beat Peter Sellers. I refuse to believe that Robert Duvall lost. We are part of an artistic family, and to that artistic family, none of you have lost, and I'm proud to share this award." End quote. Warms my heart to see someone's humbleness and gratefulness to be part of our lives through the medium of film. Just a guy who liked what he did and worked hard at doing his best. Now, before we roll into tonight's movie, a word about coming attractions. Be here July 25th when I'll be bringing you another favorite but vastly different movie, Risky Business, starring a young Tom Cruise. Next week, my buddy Sean Higgins will be right here to show you The Last Picture Show from 1971, starring Timothy Bottoms, Sybil Shepherd, and Jeff Bridges. Did you know that Sean recently shared an elevator with Jeff Bridges? I've been super jealous about that. Like I said before, tonight's movie in particular hits close to home for me, and the message I take away from this movie is to put aside your differences for the sake of the greater good. Through my years, I've contemplated whether movies are as important as I've built them up to be, and now, at the age of 34, I can say concretely that yes, they are to me. Movies like this one tap into our emotions and say the words that we're at a loss for, and they do it with grace. Now, sit back and soak in this one, Kramer versus Kramer on Saturday Night Cinema.